Franchising. Is it a safe path to success or a fraud? I'm Jan Norman, small business columnist for the Orange County Register. Franchising has long been touted as a way to go into business for yourself and succeed. More than 3,000 companies now sell franchises in the United States. But I'm talking today with Robert Purvin, attorney who just authored the book, The Franchise Fraud. He's also chairman of the American Association of Franchisees and Dealers. What is this fraud you talk about in your book?
Well, it's interesting. I define the franchise fraud as a systemic fraud, and what that means is it's not about fraudulent illegal practices of individual franchisors. It's really that the franchising industry has amazingly been able to misrepresent that franchising generally is a safe and secure way of owning a business, when in fact there's significant risks to owning a franchise business.
Now, how do they do that? By misrepresenting the numbers of people who succeed?
By being able to have a very powerful lobby. There, as you said, 3,000. There are actually closer to 3,500 companies that sell franchises in the United States, and they fund their lobbying efforts very, very well, and they've been able to mount an enormous public relations campaign over decades now, and have developed a conventional wisdom that leads us to believe that all franchises, no matter how new they are or how long they've been in business, are safe and secure methods of owning a business, as opposed to owning a Budweiser distributorship or a Coca-Cola bottling company or a McDonald's.
Tell me some of the abuses that you have seen as an attorney representing franchisees.
The largest area of abuse is that franchise agreements have grown over the last 50 years to be so one-sided that they are very controlling relationships. There's a chapter in my book where I called the franchisee as indentured servant. Really, in most instances, a franchisee, far be it from being an independent businessman, has fewer rights than a common law employee.
Oh dear. But you're not completely against franchising. What are some of the positive things you bring out in your book?
Well, in fact, it's correct to say I'm not against franchising. In fact, I love franchising. And I think and I describe it in my book as probably the greatest advancement in commercial and commerce since the invention of the wheel. So I believe in it quite a bit. Franchising has the capacity to be all the things that we hear it, that we attribute to it. It has the capacity to reduce the odds against business failure. But what it takes is a balanced relationship between the franchisor and the franchisee. It takes people saying no to bad franchising practices and making sure that what is delivered is the promise.
So what are some of the things that you tell people to look for when they're buying a franchise?
The first thing I tell people to look for, and it seems rather obvious, but the first item is to make sure that the franchising company is really in business to sell products and services to consumers, and not just in business to sell franchises.
There are a lot of those.
There are probably half of the companies that are in business selling franchises really care more about selling franchises than the products that they sell. So the most important thing, and then the second thing, in fact in my book I've listed 8 criteria that you should utilize for franchise selection, but the first 2, the one I just mentioned, and the second being, make sure that your franchisor is dedicated to a franchise system of distribution as its primary method of product distribution. And by that I mean you want to make sure your franchisor is not in competition with you when you're in business.
Exactly. Well, if you want to see all 8 of those criteria, please read the book, and be sure that you do your homework before you buy a franchise. I'm Jan Norman, and it's your business.